more. Listened to Reverend Lisa this morning, and she did talk about the eclipse. Apparently, she got a little bit more luck than I did. She got some kind of a photograph towards the end of the event. Where I am, we got nothing, but that's pretty good. Back to our normal transmissions, as it were. I promised you yesterday a reading from Murphy, and I will do that at the end. It's just I got a bit tied up with the other stuff. Today's reading is called Acceptable Prayer. Acceptable Prayer. I'm not too sure I like the title, but you'll get it when we go through the reading. First quote is from A Course in Miracles. Miracles are merely the translation of denial into truth. Miracles are merely the translation of denial into truth. And I like this one. Prayer is not an act of overcoming the divine's resistance or reluctance, but should be an attractive acceptance of Spirit's highest willingness. So in other words, we're not pleading with God to do something and the divine is reluctant to do it, because the whole idea of the divine is that it gives. It is love and it gives. There's no resistance to overcome. The only resistance actually to overcome is within ourselves to accepting our good. And this is what Reverend Christian Sorensen has to say on this whole subject. There are some unique concepts around what is acceptable prayer for. There are some unique concepts about what it is acceptable to pray for and what it is not. Since the life force, and he capitalizes that, is omnipresent, what will be the reasoning to think Spirit is any less spiritual in your checkbook than in your sanctuary? Obviously, it is good to remember Spirit in your prayers for perfect health. And thus, it is just as good to activate the prayer consciousness around winning a race, for instance. There's not one request holier than another. He encourages us to pray on all things and pray without ceasing. The last quote, of course, is what Jesus was always telling us: pray without ceasing. Some may feel they don't want to use up their prayer quotient. Quote, Spirit answered my prayer, and it was a miracle. I just don't know how many more miracles I may have left. This is a constrictive statement of limited thinking. It's inadequate because Spirit is the boundless and limitless expression that is life. You must eliminate all limited thinking. Your greater good is waiting to be called into expression. You have as many miraculous manifestations before you as you're willing to claim. There is no large or small, no more Spirit in one place than in another. Realize that even if you have 100 prayers answered, you haven't begun to use up all the good in store for you. And it's a different way of looking at the divine completely. Because Spirit wants to express itself in all things, then it's only natural that anything that you pray for that is of benefit to you and others is going to come forth, providing you have one thing, and that's belief. And remember, belief is thought plus feeling. And what Reverend Christian Sorensen is telling us today, as you probably gathered from the reading, is simple. It's okay to pray for all sorts of things. It's okay to pray for all sorts of things. And Ernest Holmes, our founder, always encouraged us to do this. And he said, it's okay to pray for anything, providing it doesn't do any harm to you or to somebody else. That's really the only rule. It's okay to pray for whatever you want, providing it doesn't harm anyone, including yourself. Because I want to do some Murphy stuff here, the affirmation, I boldly claim my good in all areas of my life. I boldly claim my good in all areas of my life. I'm going to read Murphy because I like it today, actually, or today. I like it this week or this month. It's good. It actually comes from last month, and I don't think I read it last month. So if I did, hey, some things are good to hear twice, but I don't remember reading this at all. This is called, from Murphy's Dogma, called Pause with Perspective. As I said, it was actually written by Reverend Bob Lukin. And this is Murphy talking, the dog. He's like a little white terrier. I saw my chance, so I ran. Suddenly, I was lost. Nothing looked familiar. An old man sitting on the sidewalk called me. I ran toward him, and as I did, a young boy and the woman with him tried to stop me. Poor dog, I heard the woman say. No one living on the street should be allowed to touch a cute little dog. As the old man reached for me, I noticed his hands were wrinkled and dirty. He held me like I was his child. He stood up and in a warm voice said, Lady, you going to take this pup home and feed him? No, she said, but I will make sure he gets to the shelter. Not good enough, said the old man. I'll keep him here with me until he can find his way home. How do you know he'll find his way home? She said. If this dog knows he can trust me, I trust that with a good night's sleep and a little love, he will remember where his home is. You can tell there's a message coming, right? The old man kept me wrapped up in his jacket all night. In the morning, he took off his belt, used it as a leash, and said to me, It's morning, and I'll bet you can take us home. I'm glad to say that with his encouragement, I found my way home. We all get lost when we're a little scared. Most of us will find our way home with a little love, a little support, and a little understanding. There's so much of a message in that. Excuse me. I swallowed something. The message that I get out of this is it could be multiple actually, but this is the message, the main message I get out of it. That however lost we get in life, when we decide to turn back to Spirit, the Divine, the All, we will find the means, and the means will be brought to us to find us home. Remember the story of the prodigal son. When he changed his mind and decided, hey, I don't want to live this life of debauchery anymore, and I've no money, I'm working like a low servant, the lowest of the servants, and I'm cleaning out pig swill and eating leftovers. But my father's got all this wonderful stuff. Once he made that decision, the way was found for him to make his way home back to his father. And his father, of course, was Spirit Divine, the All in the message. So that's the message I take from it. No matter how lost we feel, once we make that decision to return on our spiritual path or to our spiritual path, the way will open and we will find the way home. And if you need a little help doing it, then reach out for a practitioner or a minister, and we'll be only too willing to help you. Remember, Reverend Lisa will be on tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock ish. I'll be back tomorrow evening, somewhere around about 5 p.m. Central Time. But until then, I hope you enjoyed this little side trip into Murphy's life, because These stories are really kind of cute. In fact, I went out and I bought Bob Lookin's book, and I occasionally read from it. Of course, it's Bob Lookin writing and speaking, as if it were Murphy. I mean, you probably already gathered that. So until next time, I just want to simply say, take care, look out for yourself, be kind to yourselves, and just know that the good is really intended to flow into your life. Namaste.